titles. So, I even paid somewhat attention to it.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 358th episode of the Geek First podcast. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 385. I'm Travis Snell, one of the presenters of the Xbox Game Showcase. Oh my God, this fall, it's going to change everything.
Whoa.
Is that your
I had to
Phil
turn my
Spencer
volume
impersonation?
down. Kind of savage.
That is, I will save it. Who am I joined with?
I am the chicken chaser, Dylan Musk.
No one raised their hand, so
That's a good point.
Oh my
I guess
God,
I guess I'll go. I'm the hand raiser, Jessica. That has nothing to do with what we're casting about, but
Not yet.
I am the Taylor Series X, Taylor Field.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, go on the feeds. You can find a bunch of stuff. We did our superhero draft. Dylan, because this is a game episode, you should show what is your Out of Mana out about this week? What is it out about? What it is out this week, but what is it about this week?
It sure is out and about this week, and it's fun. Got another fresh voice on there, so it's a fun cast. We talk about a lot of different games. We also did a little bit of a recap of our favorite games of the year so far. So yeah, it's a good one. Go check it out.
And then we also reviewed Ghost of Tsushima, so you can check that out. Obviously, this is Xbox cast, so maybe that's not your thing. But
I'm still playing right now. I can't stop. This game
he's not going to stop the whole. He's going to beat the game during our review. You got 30 minutes. Go. No. And then Taylor, where can they find us on the interwebs?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us with your internet connection in the search bar. Specifically, type in geekverse.ca. You're going to find tons of awesome stuff there with links everywhere. But you can also go to our social media, Geekverse Podcast, in the search bar on Facebook. You're going to find tons of stuff, maybe a poll, I don't know. And you can also check out Geekverse Cast on Twitter. You can find lots of awesome content over there, lots of network stuff, because the network is popping off. Geek Ultimate Alliance, ladies and gentlemen. You can find that and support on Patreon.
Mm-hmm. Patreon, you can get us ad-free. You get a bunch of stuff early, soon, and you get exclusive commentary tracks as well. I also got asked as well. The thing is, on YouTube, Twitch, when we record this, you can watch us live. Taylor, that's why you got to go to the video so you can see Dylan's.
I look like the ice climbers right now.
You do. Taylor, again, I think we mentioned this like maybe at the 5-year cast, but what happened to the polls? There was supposed to be a gaming poll in the summer, and it just never appeared.
You and me were supposed to collaborate on that.
No, that was you and Dylan. You made the list.
Was that me and Dylan?
You know what probably happened? He probably got scared because he saw the roster of PlayStation characters and the roster of Xbox characters. He's like, "Holy shit, we don't stand a chance."
You know, I think
threw it in the garbage.
COVID hit and Call of Duty Warzone came out. And
COVID was. We were knee deep in COVID by the time this came out.
There's still time. There's still time. There's August.
Talking about knee deep, let's start with Taylor Field, who's knee deep in the Xbox world. You're probably the most positive. So what we're going to do is we're going to give our overalls, and then we'll give a quick rundown of the games as far as what we like, what we did, and we'll go down the list of, the chronological order of what happened. But Taylor, you go, and then I also, when you're done, because I'll let Jessica go as the other owner of Xbox, but before you go, I have a question for you to follow your overall, because I feel like it's going to be pretty positive. So what did you feel about this conference? This is the Xbox Game Showcase. They talked about this for a while. There's, I think, another one in August that rumor is going to be more about the gear and whatnot, but this was just purely games and first parties, pretty much. So what did you feel, Taylor?
So overall, I felt pretty good. I know we were chatting a little bit about this in the sense where everyone's laughing, make jokes.
No. The audio, if you're on podcast, they didn't hear us laugh at all. There's no laughter.
I think that because we talked about the fact that this is definitely probably more custom towards Xbox fans, you could say. And I definitely can see that. But I think that, and we'll get into that a little bit later, there's a few elements where I feel like they could be pulling in a fresh new crowd to jump in with this new console, with these new games. And that's, again, something I will touch upon later. I feel like when I was thinking back in retrospect to the PlayStation event, and I thought, okay, well, when I was looking at that, the things that made that really, really hype and exciting, for me especially, even though I'm more Xbox fanboy, was okay, we got the console reveal and a couple of these exclusives. And for me, the only exclusive that I really like, that I stand by, that if I had the funds, I would want to play, is the Spider-Man Miles Morales game, because it looks awesome. And that's for me. But the other games, I mean, Most of them
They're too hard for you.
No, it's just I've forgotten about it. And again, like the thing for me is the single player games, and I love single player games. I think they're great, but at the end of the day, like if they're making that push for digital and like Sony inevitably, hypothetically, I hope they do, but if they don't do it like an equivalent to Games Pass, so I got to keep buying $80 worth of games to play through the story once, twice, maybe 3 times, and then not get any multiplayer or other satisfaction out of it. Whereas I hope that they do something like Games Pass. And that's where I'm going to touch upon later, is this Game Pass content for this show just blew my mind and had me really excited. So
I just want to ask you before we move on, because you were a big Xbox guy, and these games like the PlayStation 1, whatever they do in the future, what would you say would be the selling point to buy this at launch?
the Xbox?
The Xbox Series X, yeah.
From an unbiased standpoint.
No, dude, just we're never gonna get that. I just mean like, what a monkey
Answer
wrench.
the question, Taylor.
Like, yeah, give me what elevator pitch. Someone's trying to decide between the PS4 and the Xbox, or the PS5. Yeah, the PS4, the PS5, the Xbox Series X. What are like the top selling features for you that at launch, day one, they should get the Xbox Series X?
I mean, for me at this point, it's really riding on Games Pass. I mean, like I love what I saw like games wise for Xbox, obviously, but the fact that Games Pass just provides, and here's gonna go into full pitch mode for Mr. Spencer. You know,
The most powerful, most translucent,
all those teraflops.
Yeah.
Just the fact that Games Pass, you get these games really day one. I just cut off probably like $300-400 of cash that I'm going to be spending and forking out for brand new games, because it's all coming right to Games Pass, and that's like, I think I do the ultimate for $15 a month. So I'll be able to jump back and forth between my PC and my console, which I like. So I don't see a reason why that's like, again, like what I said before, I hope that PlayStation and Sony do an equivalent to Games Pass, because I feel like Xbox is pioneering. I don't know if any other companies have done this yet, but I feel like Microsoft is pioneering that kind of like territory of not streaming, but like the Netflix equivalent of games, monthly subscription and all that kind of stuff. So, you know,
my last question with Games Pass, what are the games this fall you're buying? You would be buying, like the games you'd want to play. Because you got Rogue Squadron, right? And you have Halo, you have Assassin's Creed. I think my point is that a lot of the games come to Game Pass, but I feel like you have Gears for you and you have Halo. But I think these games you'll definitely try. But when you say, oh, I'm saving all this money, I just don't think you'd be buying them. And I think even like going back to you and Dylan did the Outer Worlds impression, but have you ever touched that game again, really? And that's
Outer
my thing.
Worlds? I went back a little bit, but I mean, I really did want to try and get into it, but as much as I liked it, other games popped into my radar. So it was just something I kind of just got put on the shelf for a little bit. Kind of like, you know, same for you. Like you had other games popping on your radar, and Outer Worlds just kind of sitting there on top.
But I didn't buy it. That's different. Dylan gave it to me, because you're just saying like with Games Pass, you'll save all this money. My argument was like you wouldn't have bought Outer Worlds.
Oh,
You know,
well,
that's
I mean, in terms of games that I would have bought this year, I mean, definitely like I turned around with Cyberpunk. So there's Cyberpunk, definitely Halo, Gears. I mean, aside from Tyler ruining it for me, I'm definitely a sucker for the story. State of Decay 3 in a heartbeat. And then, Assassin's Creed, Squadrons. And I feel like there was another one.
And that's all $100 right there.
Grounded I would have bought as well. That's
okay.
Well, you don't need to buy that. You'll never need to buy that, though.
Well, I know, because that's on Games Pass. But if the Games Pass wasn't a thing, it would have been one that I would have bought.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah.
I mean, even Halo is a thing that you could just save money on, not buy it now. I know you want a physical case because you have all the other Halo games.
Well, that's the thing.
Right?
I honestly might not be. I'm strongly considering not buying it. Like the only reason I would get it is probably just to like complete the collection.
Yeah, just get it later when it's on sale, right? You don't need to get it.
That's exactly it. So it's just nice to know, like, because obviously Assassin's Creed is going probably to like Uplay Plus, which was some fucking weird mystical land right now on the Stadia. So
mystical land.
Jessica, you're the only other person here that owns. Me and Dylan, we jumped off the 360 era, but you got the Xbox One. How did this? Because you obviously you've talked about, you know, you're I guess like I can say a new mother, but not really. You've been doing this for almost a year soon, you know. So like, where are you as far as if you're buying a console, is this selling you on the day one? Is this selling you, like, where do you go? Because you were the person, I think, before any of us, you had the Switch, you had like the Holy Trinity, you had the Switch, Xbox One, the PS4. You were a big like Pokemon collector with consoles. But where are you now in like the console sphere of getting stuff?
So Kai is like almost 15 months. So almost a year is.
I thought you were gonna say 15 years, and then I was really scared. Hey, I don't even know, to help you out, I don't even know how old I'm turning this year. I don't know if it's 27 or 8. I've been trying to figure it out. I know I could just look at the calendar, but I'm trying not to do that. So,
Were you born in 93?
don't bring math into it. I'm just trying to remember.
Okay.
How dare you bring math into it?
So yeah, anyway, I already have the Scorpio. So for me, this doesn't seem like a day one purchase. I already have a powerful console and I bought a 4K TV for it. So, I mean, I'm already pretty set. I have Game Pass, and most of the games that were on there were, Xbox Series X, PC. So there was a lot of stuff that really, it wasn't worth me spending $600-700 just to play right now. So the thing is too, I don't know how you guys watched this, if it was on Facebook or what, but I watched it on my Xbox being streamed on a giant 4K TV, and the graphics did not seem next gen. It didn't seem that it would even be worth the money for a next gen if it's producing games that are shittier than Gears of 4 is currently.
To counter that, the thing with streaming is a lot of these videos, they go through
But
bit
she didn't watch the
compression,
stream.
right?
She watched the videos later.
No, but
Yeah.
again, like the stream obviously has its own quality issues and all that kind of stuff. But then when you like render and export the video, it's still the same footage, it's been like bit compressed, right?
No,
It's like
the video quality is a lot better if you're watching it afterwards.
So it was video that was posted on the official Xbox page to promote.
It is, but it's not going to be like identical to what like that game graphic is going to be, because you have a video that's been rendered and then exported and then rendered again into another setting, so it's going to not be.
Yeah, it's definitely not. But at the same point, that was like, especially with Halo, that seemed to be a big, which we'll get to. That was a big contention with everybody. That's been the almost, I don't know, narrative now of it looks old, which is not a great thing to have. And whether that's the stream or like, because I know when I was watching it live, it was super laggy. And then I was like, Dylan, I watched it again later on because I wanted to watch it on the big screen. So I was cooking dinner, I had it on, and it did not look the greatest. Because the other thing is, it may have been a stream, but I guarantee you they had that video and then they did a premiere like on YouTube. So I imagine there is like an MP4 of like a solid HD. Maybe they just, whatever their service they're doing, they just gotta figure it out better. Because I agree, Jessica, that not really anything like blew me away as far as just like visually, So go ahead, continue.
Well, just to kind of counter it, Halo was like, I'll buy it. I'll be honest. I'm going to give them my money, but it wasn't great to watch. Like there wasn't a whole lot of detailing in the gloves and the guns that was super not, like Gears was when I first played it, 4K. I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. But then to go from right after that to State of Decay 3, that was beautiful. And I was like super happy watching that trailer. And so just even comparing those two right side by side to each other, it was like, how does one look so realistic and amazing and one has a blurry background? So, yeah, I mean, there was a couple games that I thought sounded interesting. Nothing that would get me to buy this day one, though. That's my kind of overview.
Dylan.
Fair enough. Yeah, so I don't have a Series X, or not Series X. I don't have an Xbox One or any of the variants that console has. I was a big 360 guy though, and I would still consider that till this day my favorite console of all time. I had such great memories, so many great games that I played on there. Loved the interface, I loved everything about it at the time. But I just never saw the reason to jump over to this generation, because there's just no games that really pulled me in that I need to play. And so coming into this showcase, I was excited from the perspective that I have that like deep history with Xbox, and especially Halo in particular. Like Halo 3 is one of my favorite games ever, like easily top 5. I love that game so very much. So I was really excited to see what they had for Halo Infinite here. Overall, I think this was a pretty good show. I'm also in the minority that the show they had like a couple months ago with those like 8 or 9 games or whatever they showed, I like that. showcase just because it was like a bunch of cool new games, and I'm always excited for that. So I really liked the show. I think it went pretty well in terms of like the pacing of it was pretty good. Like they had obviously like 10 minutes or so dedicated to Halo, but then it seemed like pretty quick jumping through the rest of the games. Like Phil Spencer and Matt Booty popped up like once to talk about something, like maybe a couple devs, but for the most part, I think they went through at a really good pace. So I think from that perspective, it was a good show. What's that, Jessica?
I just want to add on to that. I actually thought that some of it, the pacing was kind of odd. Like I have no idea what a couple of these games are even about. So, I mean, we can get into it more, but the tell me why, I was like, what do you even play? What are you doing?
Right. I can tell you more about what that game actually is, just based on the studio when we get to it. But yeah,
But tell me why, Dylan. Tell me why, Dylan.
I do agree that there was a couple things that like Hellblade, like they had those devs pop up and they were talking for a bit, but they didn't show any new footage, trailer or anything. They were just like, we went to Iceland and shot some stuff. It's like, okay, that's kind of fun. But even then, like for those short, like I felt like those sequences were at least short, so it didn't like drag on for me personally. But then there was a lot of stuff in here that was pretty surprising or pretty hype. Like I was one of the deep cut Fable fans, and I was really hoping for that today. So to see that, even if it was a teaser trailer, it still like got me really hyped. And then the other thing was mostly the Obsidian sequence. Like they showed I expected they were going to show the DLC for Outer Worlds, a game that I really liked. My only problem with it really is that it was way too short. So DLC perfectly fills like my only problem I have with the game. So I was hoping we'd see that. Awesome that it comes out in like early September. Sweet, that's right around the corner. Seeing more about Grounded, awesome. Me and Taylor are going to play that game next week. But I did not expect that they would show off what their next game that they've been working on as an exclusive was going to be. And it blew me away. It's like Obsidian is making a Lord of the Rings sort of high fantasy game. Like, holy shit. That's like top of my list. Right after like Spelunky 2, Deathloop, and Elder Scrolls 6. That's like the next most excited game for I am now. Like that's how excited I am for that particular game. That's pretty awesome. I think the biggest disappointment for me in this show was Halo. I thought that was a terrible showing for the game. Like Jessica said, I thought it looked terrible. Like just the raw graphics of it, just like the draw distance, the environments were really dull. The details were there wasn't any details. And then I think even then they just did a really bad job of explaining what this game actually is. Because I've read there's a couple articles that came out today about the game, interview with the dev and stuff. And a big part of this new Halo is that it's like open world and there's all sorts of features with that. But I didn't get that vibe from the show. I was like, oh, this seems like it's a pretty big map, but is it open world? I don't really know. I didn't feel like they really answered that. And even then, like even with those interviews that explain that yes, this game is open world, I still want to see that. I want to see how Halo tackles an open world game. I want to see what's different about this open world than other games. I just wanted so much more. So I felt like it was weird that they just showed like an 8-minute sequence that wasn't cutting to different places. It was just like all one sequence that looked like a game I played,
Yeah. Not even a good sequence.
Halo, whenever I played the first Halo, like it seemed kind of the same as that, which is cool. I get if you're a big Halo fan and like it's fun to go back to that stuff, but if this is like a new open world, different version of Halo, I didn't feel like they showed that today. So overall, I was a pretty big fan of the show. A couple things I'm really excited about, but Halo, I think they really dropped the ball on that one, to allude to Travis's YouTube title for this particular cast. But
favorite GIF.
Yeah, Travis, you're in the same boat as me, where we were 360 diehards and then dropped over to PS4 and have kind of stayed there ever since. So what did you think of the show?
Yeah, I'm the same sentiment as you. We were talking during the thing, and you just kind of said, oh, I wish they did more to sell me on getting it day one. And I'm the same thing, barring we've heard these rumors of Lockhart. So if there is some nice $300, $200 cheap discless version, I know we've heard versions of like a dongle that plugs into your TV or something. I don't believe it. If there is just like a Wi-Fi stick you could plug in, I'm sold day one. Because Taylor's right. Games Pass is great, and I would try a lot of games. That's where there's a lot of games I wouldn't buy, but the showing overall, it met my expectations. But if you're a new listener, that is for me saying back when they did the Xbox, that last presentation, I didn't like. I just thought, okay, this is them. They're doing this thing and where they just raise expectations up high, which I did appreciate. A few days before this, they said there's going to be no device talk, no hardware talk. So I like that they put that out there, so no one got really hyped on that. But I just felt, especially after the PS5 one, that people were really waiting for them to to strike back. And for the past 6 months, they've really been running game Xbox, but I feel like they've lost a lot of momentum. And I feel like there was, whether it's podcasts to listen to, my Twitter feed, my Facebook feed, and it's all anecdotal. And that's the same thing that people, Taylor, I'm sure on Facebook, like his Facebook group of I Love Xbox 360 for Life, like I'm sure they all loved it. But for me, I just saw, it felt like a lot of people were unsold by the console and just kind of wait and see. And that's why I asked the thing at launch, because Halo, well, that's the thing. I was expecting Halo to sell people, but that seemed like people really turned on that. And I think people were kind of expecting. Halo was announced, was it 2 or 3 years ago, Ethan? Remember we got that one teaser?
2017, I think they announced.
So 3 years ago. And remember, all we got was just that one teaser of holding a helmet, and they just said, oh, a whole new Halo's coming. We didn't get much. We've seen a little bit here and there. So this was its first like huge big reveal. And to me, I thought, oh, this was going to be massive. And even though it was 13 minutes, I thought it would be longer. I thought it would be very similar to what PlayStation did with God of War, where it was just this, it was in the middle of the conference, and then they're like, oh, at the end we're going to show more of this game. And I thought it was going to be this big thing. I remember with that, I'll say that because we're going to talk about Halo. I just was expecting for, as a non-Halo person, to even be somewhat interested, and I was kind of the same as everyone else. I was kind of bored with it. It's not already my genre, so you have to hook me, and it didn't. And I just think the conference overall was just, they just did a good conference, and that was fine. But to me, it's not the, hey, we're a few months away from our next big console. And I think they've unfortunately put themselves in the camp where I feel like PlayStation and Nintendo are on that echelon tier, where if we were still doing E3, when we're talking about our most anticipated conferences, this would be for me in that like Ubisoft, not EA, but Ubisoft, like Square Enix. Like, I just feel like we always know where they're going to get. I feel like they always play it safe. I still disagree. I hate when the devs come out and talk. I don't mind it every once in a while, but they all sound the same. Like, we can't wait for this year to show you our next big adventure. This is our game. We love it. It all gets meshed in one, unless it's Phil Spencer talking. All those people just mesh in my mind, and it's just using keywords, and they always have to end with, and you play the best on PlayStation. And I get it. That's what every company does. But when you see the person doing it, it just feels so scripted. And I just hate, they should just trim all that fat. And I just feel that they firmly planted themselves that they are no longer, and maybe they've always said that we don't want to compete with PlayStation. They said that once they started to lose. I just feel like now they're officially like out of the race as far as like, I'm not saying they're going to bomb. Games Pass is great. I'm sure console will sell, but I don't think it's a few months ago when people are like, oh, PlayStation better look out. That all kind of disappeared today, and I feel like it's all now PlayStation at $10. You're like top dog cemented. I just feel that I don't know. I feel like since 2013 they did those risks of unveiling the Xbox One, and that really backfired. And ever since then they've been really playing it safe, and that's all they know now is to do safe. They can always meet the bar or be a decent or good showing, but they're never going to be great. The hype, there's a few moments like these guys have pointed out, but I just don't think there's anything everyone was talking about after was how bad Halo looked or just how underwhelming it was. And I just even look at Jeff Keighley's Twitter poll of like, he's just one guy, but he's a guy that has his like hand on his thumb on the finger, as far as his thumb on the finger, his thumb on the polls for the gaming community. And I looked at his PlayStation poll and his Xbox poll, and like, it's all over. It's all like 20 for an A, like 30 for a B, 40 for like a C. And then when you look at PlayStation, it's like the A is like 60 and all the rest are like sprinkled throughout. And it just, even if it's divided, that's not what you want. You want people still hyped. I want to be wanting to buy an Xbox Series X, and it just didn't do that for me today. But I kind of expect that now. Like I said, I don't get hyped on these anymore, because whenever they had that last one, I went, oh, they're not doing hype consoles anymore. They've said we're not competing. This is what we're doing. We're just going to be back here, and that's fine. But that's just not the mindset I wish they had. That's why I've always said I don't want anyone to lose their jobs, but I still think Phil Spencer, there should be some change of leadership there. I feel like they need someone to come in and really shake things up, but not really. And these new games like Hellblade sequel, that's far away. Fable was cool, but it's just a teaser. I guess Halo is coming out this holiday, but I know there was one other, like the Obsidian game that looked cool, but same thing, that's far away, right? Like, at least with PlayStation, there's some things like Ratchet and Clank and Miles Morales and Deathloop. Like, even if they're time exclusive, they have like these pocket of 4 to 5, 6 games that, hey, this is what's happening at launch. Other than Halo, which is not being received well, I don't know. And that's where I'll throw it to you, Taylor. I'm done. As far as what were your thoughts on Halo? Because obviously we've kind of been more negative on it. What did you feel about this?
So like the more kind of like research I dug into it, I want to like do a little bit more in-depth research in the sense of like the storyline aspect, because I need to like do like some date checks on things, because for me, I don't get why I'm hoping to explain it in the game when I play it. So I'm not going to like bash it or anything, but I don't understand why Halo 5 story kind of got shafted. I know that people overall, like, they're not a fan of Halo 5, but I still don't know why it should just be kind of scrubbed off to the side.
Isn't
I
this
feel
a
like
sequel to Halo 5?
it is a sequel, but how I took it watching this conference, it is more like a Halo Wars 2 sequel and has hardly any correlation that I could tell really to the main storyline Halo 5, which I find kind of confusing. Now, obviously, like, this game is being made on their 343's brand new whatever game engine, the Slipspace game engine or whatever it is. And so that's always been like a concern of mine, because when they first revealed the game and they showed like that, to me it felt like Fortnite style graphics when they showed that first teaser.
I remember that.
And I think even back then I was like voicing my concern, like I wasn't hyped for that. I feel like, Halo 5's graphics were like peak. I love that aesthetic, I love the style of it and everything, and I wish that, because Halo always had that signature kind of graphic style to it, that aesthetic, and now they're throwing that out the window, it seems like, with this. And this is, from what I've read, supposed to be like a continuation, not Halo 6, but a continuation kind of towards being a whole new series of Halo games. Supposed to be like
so Force Awakens,
basically like a Force Awakens. Yeah.
Okay, so taking some old story, but like making new, like a path.
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
Okay.
So like, again, Master Chief stuck on a Halo ring, and that's it. Like, honestly, like I'm excited for Halo, and I am going to play it, obviously, because it's Game Pass, so why not? And it's got Atriox, which I'm a massive fan of his. I think the Halo Wars 2 campaign was absolutely incredible.
Is that Brute guy?
That's the Brute guy, yeah, leader of the Banished. So I love that him and Chief are like meeting head to head and clashing, and like his dialogue in the trailer had me on the edge of my seat. But I don't know. There was something off. Like, definitely the graphics are a little bit like but I mean, granted, we're still like 4.5 months away, I'm assuming, or maybe even 5 months from like the game coming out, so they could still polish it. But that being said, I do feel like, and me being a designer, if I put something out to a client and you see something that's wrong with it, you've taken a shortcut somewhere and you're going to present it to the client, and full well what you've done, and you still put it out there, that's not okay. So I don't get why.
It sounds like a really specific situation, Taylor.
Well, no, but it's just to go give it, because you got to go back to take the time, you fix it, then you hand it out. But in this sense, like that just close up meme of like the Brute's face, it's like, how did a dev look at that and think, you know what, no one's gonna notice?
Man, it's so confusing. I did see too that they're going to be releasing like the ray tracing. It's going to be like a free update after the game comes out. So that'll change the lighting around, because the lighting was pretty fucking dull in this game, especially coming off Ghost of Tsushima. So I'm really curious too, like if this what the final game looks like, because you think even then you'd at least spruce up this 8-minute sequence for this show. They did want to make a big thing of saying like, oh, all this stuff's like in engine or whatever, but I don't know. It really did not look all that good. I'm kind of surprised they let it get through like that.
Yeah.
Taylor, I had two things for you. One, in the chats, Duke Togo 13 said Halo's Infinite's poor presentation, Hellblade's 2 location reveal, for that being just the only thing they showed. Knocked the showdown 3 points for me, standing at 7 out of 10. So he liked it, but he also said Halo Infinite meme is meme worthy, hilarious. Just an unedited screenshot of the close up enemy's face. And then, do you agree with this? Anton Fett says, I wish they stopped with Halo after Halo 3. I don't think they would have ever done that for money wise.
No, Halo Reach was an amazing game.
Yeah, Halo Reach was amazing. Yeah, no, I think in that context, like they definitely should have like continued. But when you look at the great scheme of things, Reach was done by Bungie. All the rest are done by 343. And I'm not going to just bash 343, because I feel like, okay, they took Halo Infinite, they did their best to like listen to people. They tried making a new game engine for this game. They brought back the split screen. They're trying to go back to the roots of that OG Halo. And again, like to end my kind of rant about it with some positives, the sound effects I absolutely love. That everything that just in this world, it sounded like Halo 1 again. And I loved like the shields. I loved how like the guns popping off. I love just so much
iconic
of it.
Music.
Yeah, exactly. Like the score was fantastic. And those are again like that. They make it so immersive for you, and it just hits you right in the nostalgia. So I think that overall those kind of things, again, they're gonna pair up nicely with, for me, the story, part of the story from what I can tell so far. So that's why I'm gonna play.
I'm pretty checked out of the story because I don't think I ever finished Halo 4's campaign. I've never played Halo 5. So I don't really know what's going on anymore. I honestly don't even remember really what happens in the first three because it's been so long since I've played the campaigns of those, like over a decade at this point.
You
right?
can watch one of those like 15 like catch me up on Halo stories, like all those YouTubers that always put out like 5 seasons of The Walking Dead. Like you can watch that if you play this game.
Yeah. So to me, the most interesting thing is that this game is open world, like fully open world, which is something that Halo hasn't really done before. The levels have always been, maybe not always, but a lot of the levels have been quite massive in the past. There's a lot of secret extra areas you can go to with your finding terminals or skulls or whatever. But even just the fact that vehicles have been connected with the series forever, like they have the levels that can compensate for having these vehicles. So I feel like it's actually in theory going to work out pretty well. You can drive around, you can check out all these different areas, move around, have some fun, fly around. I just wanted to see more about that.
Taylor, you put your little finger up there.
I put my little finger up there. Yeah. The fact that you mentioned like finding things like skulls and such, that is another thing that they're adding to this game. So there's no like level up ranking system, but there is like an upgrade system where you find things around the map to upgrade your armor and different things like that. And I'm assuming that's where like the grappling hook maybe comes into play too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, the grappling hook also seems pretty crucial for getting around, like climbing up tall walls and stuff like that.
Like I'm all for a good grappling hook. You know, it changes the face of gaming.
It's cool, but I don't know. Is that like, was that supposed to sweep us off our feet?
It's not.
It looked pretty clunky. Like,
it's not like
it takes like 10 seconds to like pull this thing over to him.
It doesn't feel necessarily Halo-like. If you're going to be getting from point A to point B, you know, he's got thruster packs on or something, or get like an armor ability, you know, like reach or something like that. Like,
maybe he probably also has that. I mean, if the only thing that was a grappling hook, then it's extra bad.
We're stripping the game bare bones. Jessica, I saw your hand was up. Did you something to add there with the vehicles or the hook? Were you really hyped about the hook as well?
No, not the hook. I want to just throw out that, as you guys probably remember, my big thing with Halo 5 was there was no multiplayer. And I would have liked to have learned more about how they're incorporating that back in this, because for me, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I didn't finish Halo 5 because me and Matt played it together. That was our thing. So I know
there is multiplayer. I don't know if there's split screen, because that's what you're interested in, right?
There is split screen. I believe they confirmed that it was coming back.
Yeah, they said there was going to be more on the game and the campaign and multiplayer in the coming weeks. And it's like, why not just do it now?
They got to let the memes subside.
I agree with Jessica as far as I feel like you got to get that information all out there. And that's stuff where I feel like people care. And if you want them to, whether it is like Dylan's talking about some of the campaign or stuff, or story stuff, or the open world, or like you're talking about the multiplayer, I don't know why. That's why when the devs sit down and talk, sometimes I don't understand. It's maybe that's the thing where I don't have a problem with the devs. It's just what they choose to talk about. And that's where I wish that's when you sit them down and say, this is what we're offering, blah, blah, blah. Or even then, like how they could be talking over the game. Cause I found like there was some music, but I found it was just very quiet when the Halo gameplay was on. Like you heard like your sound design, but I just felt like it was just, I don't know. It's just like I was watching a streamer and the mic had broke out. So you could have had easily like Phil or someone about this is what we've added, blah, 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 you know?
Well, I think that just comes... Sorry, go ahead, Jessica.
Not just that too, but I mean, if this doesn't interest you right now, what's going to bring me back to find out about the multiplayer in the next video? Like,
yeah,
you got to get people in. It doesn't matter if you have another video if they don't come back to watch it.
Yeah, because I guess they're gonna have one more about the gear. I imagine because they said they're gonna do this monthly. They still keep saying the console's holiday 2020. Same thing with Halo. We didn't get official date, so I think maybe you'll get like one more about the games. But I agree with Jessica where I feel like this is the time, and then this is the time it should have been all on Halo. Unless they're planning on doing just a solo Halo stream, then maybe that's what's in the cards. But I'd have to have that confirmed before I give them a pass.
Yeah, well, I wanted to comment on something you said there, Travis. Like, in terms of it being quiet, I think that just comes down to, like, that whole presentation of it was so dull, not just from the graphics of it, which were very just kind of brown and dark and kind of hard to tell
green,
like, what was going off in the distance. Yeah, but I think that's, like, a big thing about open worlds is that there is in theory, a lot of life going on, a lot of movement. Like in Halo, you never really go to towns or cities, but that's really important for an open world game. Like that's kind of your point of reprieve where you go and you meet some merchants or whatever, you buy some stuff. So like, is that kind of thing going to be in Halo, or even in the world? Like, is there a lot of stuff moving around? Is there going to be just like traveling troops of the Covenant that are just going to fight brute armies, and then you can just watch them duke it out in the background? Or is it just like really gated, like here's this event that you're going to do and that progresses it? Like it just seemed like a very quiet and empty world for, like, I guess, like, why does this game need to be an open world? Like, why did they choose to do that? That's my question, and they didn't even try to answer that today. They just showed a classic Halo mission and then some story stuff that I will admit is not really for me. But yeah, why is this game an open world? I have no idea.
Anything else to add on Halo in general? Taylor, got any last words on it?
I feel like the sense of like pursuing Atriox as a villain for Halo Infinite and kind of disregarding the story for Halo 5, I feel like what they're doing is kind of like creating, again, that fresh start and fresh take into this whole new series of Halo games, and that this is for them a way to snag new people into like the Halo family, I guess. Like, okay, we got the new console, here's new Halo. You don't have to play the predecessor games to understand the story. You guys can just jump into the game and just roll with it. And again, like, I get that's like new game engine, all that kind of stuff, but like if you're gonna create like your own new dedicated like game engine, I feel like you need to really set the bar high. I was always nervous when like Assassin's Creed or Ubisoft did that for Assassin's Creed 3 with their own brand new game engine, but you know, it takes time and dedication and work, and they delivered. So I'm hoping that things will turn around for Microsoft and 343 specifically, because 343 just has kind of a bad streak.
Seems like it, yeah.
That's pretty heavy. It's pretty heavy shoe to fill.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well Bungie's rocking more like a worker steel toe boot, so you got a lot of toe room to fill in there.
Okay, I gotta throw to our next game. I'm gonna ask Dylan because I think Dylan has been the person on the cast as much or the most as anybody other than myself. Have you heard Taylor talk about State of Decay before?
Yep.
Okay, so you can back him up.
Okay.
Calm down. Don't interrupt. He seemed very
hyped about the second one. I don't know when that was. I don't know if
E3.
it was E3. Yeah, it must have been an E3.
You guys told me to put my phone away because I was going to buy the DLC.
I remember this specifically because we're all like, man, this game looks really bad. And then Taylor's like, no, this game's awesome. Here's like the reasons why.
I guess that happened. I just don't remember him talking about ever again. I don't remember him bringing up talking about it was great to play. I never saw a review. I never saw any fucking like newscast. He had a list of all these DLCs. So I just felt like maybe it was one of those moments like, oh, this game looks awesome. Go ahead, Taylor. Defend yourself.
So when we talked about E3, I didn't do a review because that was the last DLC for that game, that State of Decay 2 that came out. So it was just like a more immersive like campaign into like the single player story, and that was pretty much it. Like I never went to do like a review of the actual game because the game had come out like already like a couple years ago, I believe. So
okay.
I didn't want to like focus on it. And again, it was a game I found by accident with one of my friends because we were on Games Pass. We're like, hey, we need games to play together, and we downloaded a bunch and we tried State of Decay 2 and just fell in love. Can I go into my tangent like about State of Decay and State of Decay 3? Is that what we're doing?
You're on it, man. Keep
going.
Yeah,
talk about State. Okay. I don't need a whole review of State of Decay 2 now,
you
but
got
like if you want to talk about State of Decay 3, now's the time. Yeah.
So like State of Decay in general, like if any of you guys have played or haven't played it, and you fans as well, it's an open world map where, at least with State of Decay 2, there were like 3 different maps you could choose from, and you go into the map with you and one other person, and you can switch between these people, and you basically go out, form your own base, and then you have to gather supplies, get gas for your cars, food, and like ammunitions. You build all this whole like community up. And it feels like Walking Dead almost to a sense. You're recruiting people, you can go to war against other human groups and stuff like that. And there's zombie hordes everywhere in the mix, and like plague zombies and stuff. And it's just such an immersive world. And playing with your friends is absolutely just such a thrill when it's like dark out and everything. And it's crazy. So
See, I must have thought you were just talking about Dying Light, because I know you like that, and that sounds very similar. Like you're talking about all these paths, and you could meet up with humans, and then there's zombies and hordes. So maybe I just got the mix between the two.
Yeah, they are similar, just no parkour in the State of Decay, and it's third person. It's third person, but it's such an awesome, thrilling game. I got so many good memories of it. Like when you're humans, like you can change their clothes and stuff like that, and you can like have them like they all have different like attributes. And if they die in the game, they turn into zombies and they try to kill you, which is hilarious. I've killed many of my friends when they turn into zombies. So.
Wow.
Are they wearing the clothes that you put them in?
No, they're wearing the clothes my friends put them in. So.
Oh, okay. So,
all my guys, they all got like Assassin's Creed hoods and stuff. It's so cool.
So
makes sense.
So we just got like a cinematic trailer today. What did you think of it? Is snow a new environment for this game?
It is. So with State of Decay, like most of the places have been like more like an urban city area, like a farm area, and like a desert kind of setup. But this just being snow, this is the first for like zombie animals. That's never been a thing in State of Decay. Okay, so it's always been like different human zombie variants. So you had like these human zombies that like crawl on all fours. Then you have the big like juggernaut brutes and such. Then you have like howlers that howl and they attract zombies. Then you have these like bloaters that puke and explode. And so the fact that like
so there's some new stuff here. That sounds good.
Some new stuff, yeah. Just the whole deer and like the way they set up that beautiful trailer. Because I was like, okay, what is this woman hunting? There's blood, and I honestly, 10 out of 10 was like, okay, they're dropping Bigfoot. This is the Xbox game.
No,
no,
it's gonna be
with the
so
Bigfoot.
good.
Stop it! Just leave it alone.
But you know, I'm just as happy because when the deer like looked up and like it did its like head turn like this, and it's like, oh, you don't want to be in that scenario. So
it's pretty spooky. Yeah.
I thought it looked cool. I'm always said that other than Last of Us, I'm just kind of over zombie games for the most part. You need something really good to hook me again. I've heard these games are like decent to good, but I've never heard enough people, whether it's friends or critics, to really get me on board. So I thought it was a nice little teaser, but I feel like I guess it will be Xbox exclusive, but I don't think this was anything that grabbed me before going, oh, I got to get in the State of Decay now. So that's me. What about you, Jessica? Because you were talking about earlier that looked beautiful. Did you like what you saw?
Yeah, I haven't played it. I believe Matt played 2, but yeah, I knew. So I didn't actually know really what it was going to be, but as soon as it started, I was like, this is really pretty. And I saw her sharpening the arrow. I'm like, I'm guessing this is State of Decay. And yeah, then the zombie deer. But watching it, I was just blown away that it went from Halo to this. Like, it was just black and white, the difference in how Halo looked compared to how pretty this one was. So I don't know. Obviously this is a visual trailer as opposed to gameplay, but if the game looks this good, it'll be interesting for sure, especially seeing the details if they do zombie variants of different animals and things like that. I think that'll be fun as well.
Nice. I don't think I have too much to add. It's cool that at least with the cinematic trailer, it sounds like they are showing off some like what will be new content, even if they didn't show gameplay. So I think that's pretty cool. The character design of I don't know, Taylor, is there like a set protagonist in these games, or do you kind of
no? Every time that you basically create like a new level, you get new characters that are thrown in. So it's all like random generated characters with different traits and names and personalities.
So this lady that we saw in this trailer isn't necessarily like the new protagonist or anything like that.
I mean, that could be the way they're doing it. Like with State of Decay 1, I heard like very mixed things. It was very glitchy, buggy, and I think it was just like one open map, I believe. And then State of Decay 2 like improved on that, and it gave the characters a little bit more of, as you go through the main story, certain characters kind of had impacts on the storyline. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do a new narrative with the main character.
Cool. Either way, I think the design of her character seems really good, and then the zombie deer seemed kind of neat as well. But that's not much to add. I don't think I'll be playing this one. I mean, who knows? I got to see gameplay, of course. So
next was Forza. I have nothing to add. We can move on, I'm guessing.
No, I'm definitely gonna just shout out the fact that the visuals that they were emphasizing, like everything you see, this isn't cinematic. Like this is actually like the in-game like visuals. Now, if only Halo had that, then we'd be having a different conversation.
Yeah, they should put Halo in the Forza engine.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
I'm
and then
getting Dirt 5, so I don't think I'll be playing Forza.
Then after that, Rare's new game. This has been talked about for a little while. Everwild. I thought it looked really interesting. This is one that did pique my interest. This is one when you see that logo because their history. I'm always okay. What they got cooking up. I didn't know exactly what the game is fully about. It looks, kind of outer worldly. So there's some like beasts and monsters and stuff, but I didn't know what it's about, like how it would play. But it has my interest. It's one I want to see more. Where it didn't blow me away, but I really liked it. What about you, Dylan?
Yeah, so this one, we have known about this one. Like, I think they showed it off last year for the first time.
Did they?
Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
I completely
Once again,
forgot
it was
about.
just a cinematic trailer, so that's why I felt like, okay, still another cinematic trailer. I believe this is from the same team that is making Sea of Thieves. So my guess, based on the fact that all of these shots had like multiple players kind of hanging out together, I'm guessing it's going to be that sort of thing where it's this kind of lively open world where maybe you go in with your friends, maybe you'll bump into other players in the world, you go do quests, fight monsters, things like that, which I think is great. I've actually played Sea of Thieves now, and I think it's really fun game, really arcadey, and it seems like they just are consistently putting content in it because it has like a ton of active users with Game Pass, I guess. So hopefully this kind of has the same fate as Sea of Thieves, even though that I don't want to say it had a rocky start. I feel like it just kind of started out slow, but it's kind of gained a bigger fan base over time, which is not terribly common for games like that. So I kind of am assuming that's what Everwild's going to be. They could totally switch it up and do something different and new, but I kind of hope it follows in that same Sea of Thieves formula because I think they found some really cool stuff. And I think the coolest thing about Sea of Thieves for me was that like the world building aspects, like there's a lot of attention to detail in just like very unimportant things. Like you can just play an instrument in that game and then your friend can take out a drum and they can start hitting the drum. Then your other friend whips out a guitar and they start playing and you can just play these songs together. And it does absolutely nothing for the gameplay, but it's just this really fun thing that you can do with your friends. And it's one of the funniest games I've ever played. So hopefully Everwild keeps some of those fun co-op aspects to it and whatnot. I like the world. I like the art of it. So I don't know. We just have to wait and see. Once again, we've known about this one for a while, but no gameplay. So kind of hard to say too many specifics.
Jessica, any interest there?
There was some until Dylan started talking about how it would probably be like Sea of Thieves.
Have you not played Sea of Thieves?
Oh,
I have not.
you should. It's really fun.
I think you would enjoy it. It is definitely a hoot.
Okay, well, I have Game Pass. You were saying something about it being on there, so maybe I'll go check it out. I don't know. I think it looks fun. I like kind of the colors of it and the whimsicalness of it. And I think whatever their animal situation, the creatures that they got are fun. Yeah, I think it's kind of like what Dylan said. Really, you can't say much without kind of that gameplay to know it looks fun, but that's about all we got to go on.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor, you're the only one left.
Yeah, I think there's a special spot in everyone's heart for, rare games, but I don't really have it because I never really played rare games growing up. So, but the game though, it looks beautiful. And I mean, if this is the team that worked on Sea of Thieves, then I'm definitely intrigued because Sea of Thieves, like again, like kind of like what you were saying, Dylan, it had a rocky start at the beginning, and hey, that's what happens when you delay your game like 10 times. So it just is amazing that it bounced back, and the community is very active in it, and it's hopefully that same kind of that same positive vibe without the delays will be transferred over to Everwild.
Mm-hmm.
In the trailers and things for Sea of Thieves when it was first coming out, did it show more than 4 people at a time? Because I don't think there was ever a situation where...
I don't think so.
So the way Sea of Thieves works is you can queue up with 4 or up to 4, like you can have a group of 4 friends, but then you'll discover other players in the world. And you could theoretically, you can bump into other friends of yours, like if you happen to be in the same spot.
Okay.
I don't know how many people are on like one server. I have no idea, but you'll bump into people pretty often, at least in Sea of Thieves.
And then after that was Jessica's favorite. Tell me why game that was shown. I think it's supposed to be like what are those? It's like Strange Tales or what's that
Life
one?
Is Strange. It's from the same.
Yeah.
It's from the same team that makes Life.
Okay,
Is Strange.
well there you
It's
go.
just their latest game. So yeah, very story heavy. I think kind of in that games for change, where they're trying to be like some emotional story.
It's
really
kind of like
character
Telltale,
focused.
right? You have multiple choices throughout a story, I think, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, okay.
A little bit different like gameplay style, but same sort of thing. But yeah, that's their latest game. I guess my biggest question, because Life is Strange, like their recent, like Life is Strange 2 was kind of doled out in episodes, which was kind of a weird way to release a very story heavy game. So I hope they don't do the same for this. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it worked for them, but I just think it's a strange way to release those kind of games. What do you got, Jessica?
When they posted the name, it said Chapter 1 available.
August
really?
27th.
There
was
we
the
go.
First chapter, actually.
So I mean, I don't know. Maybe it worked for them last time. That's why they're doing it again. But
I don't know.
I just
I'd
think it's
rather
weird.
just wait till all the chapters are out.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what it makes the most sense that way. Because I don't think they're terribly long, like each chapter. So
Yeah, no, it's
Couple
not really my cup of tea, those games. Like I like the Telltale ones enough, but I only played a few of them, but I don't know, just not getting my bird. Taylor Field.
I don't know. To me, it felt like a cup of coffee without the caffeine.
Okay. Yeah. Jessica.
What the hell?
Sorry,
Je-
my
Oh, Jessica.
Oh, yeah, we heard that. We heard that.
internet is correct.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe just stop talking, and then when you're
I
there you go. When you're back, okay, maybe you're back now. Try again. What do you want from? What the heck? What is this? Don't tell me why. Is that what it's called?
Tell me why.
Tell
tell me
why.
why.
Tell
Tell me why. Don't tell me
the
why.
The studio is called Don't Nod. That's probably why you were thinking of the word Don't Nod.
Don't tell me why. Yeah, yeah, you're right. It's right beside. Yeah, tell me why I don't nod. Tell me why I don't nod though. Oh yeah, what are your thoughts on this?
I will probably not be super interested if it's like a Telltale game. Just I don't know. I even remember complaining about it in Target. The Telltale
I
games.
remember. Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know. To me, it's boring. Like I'd rather just watch a movie. If I'm gonna play a video game, I'd rather actually play a game, not just like sit there holding my remote, like clutching it, waiting. When do I have to press A?
Yeah. No, I remember Jessica telling me about this, and I was like, "I'm with the customer right now, Jessica. The story's gonna have to wait."
Yeah, you were working in electronics, and we were talking about like the werewolf thing.
Yeah, because I think they just announced the Batman one. I agree with you. I like it. There is like times where it is like, hey, I want to take a drink, and then it's like hit X right now, and then like, oh no, Batman's head's gone. So like, I wish there was like, but I people have those like complaints too. So
I
it's not your
don't know if these games are the same as Walking Dead. They're narrative focused games. I don't think they're quite the same.
See, but then also I get the anxiety. I'm like, did I just make that character upset? Am I the reason that the mother killed the son?
And we already do that in real life too.
Is that you're supposed to feel some emotions playing these games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I take drugs to not feel them.
Oh,
should I create a glory hole in the wall? I don't know. Taylor
the
Field.
Canadian government.
Yeah, the government will fund you.
Yeah. Really? That's cool. Next was they talked about Ori sequel coming to Xbox Series X special version 120.
Taylor
having some technical.
He just says my name and is like, okay, next we're gonna talk about Ori. Just totally shafts me.
How shafts you No. This does not count shafts. When I said to you said this game looks like coffee without the caffeine. Did you have more?
Yeah, but why'd you say my name? You're like, Taylor, do you have anything else to or whatever?
No, I didn't. Just you're a fine pony boy. Do you have anything to add on? You can start with Ori. There's a sequel coming out, 120 frames per second, which apparently the naked eye cannot see, but that's fine. Other tech features,
you can see 120 frames a second.
But like you can't there's been tests where you can see before they've done this where they put people in the room and they talk about them. They're like, hey, look at the 60 frames, look at the 120, and it's like they haven't been able to tell, and I can't naturally really tell the difference. So those are just fucking big teraflop numbers. Taylor, are you interested in Ori at all? Because I'm not. I have nothing to add on this.
I'm not done with the Telltale talk. I didn't even get my 2 cents in there.
Oh, fuck off. Okay, go.
We weren't talking about Telltale. That's never part of it wasn't in the conference, and we're not talking about it.
They went out of business, Taylor.
Fine, I won't talk about it.
Talk about Ori, or do you not care?
I want to hear what you have to say, Taylor.
I appreciate it. I'll tell you another time. These gents don't want to hear about it. I'll show you the game too. It's prime. Ori. Yeah, I've never played the Ori games, but I do think it's cool that it's still like. This is the one that they announced a while ago, right? Like a few months ago, or the other E3, is it not? Like a couple years ago.
This game came out in February, and they're re-releasing it on Series X at 120 frames.
Okay, so they're doing like the Destiny 2 kind of treatment with it, right?
They're just like making an upgraded version, which is kind of funny because I think the biggest complaint with this game when it came out is that the frame rate was terrible and it ran really bad. So I guess they're going like they're over calculated on this one, overcorrecting rather, and
5D
up to 120. Because if you start at 120, if that's what you're aiming for, and you're short frames, then it's like, oh, okay, I'm still at 100 frames a second. This is great. Like, you can't notice it. So,
well, that seems to be like the trend. If we don't do it right the first time, then we're gonna do the same thing, but just make it better.
Don't bring up the Snyder Cut.
You know what I was going for.
I don't think this is that. So you're not playing this game.
I don't know. I mean, if I have kids in the future, I'll play with the kids, I guess.
What?
Okay.
This is the game that you would play with your kids out of all games? I hear
Come on,
this game's
gather
really
around and play
difficult.
Ori.
Well, they'll reach a certain age. When they're like 7 or 8, we'll pop on Ori and try it out. So,
damn. What a game to pick. I'd be going Mario, personally.
Dylan, any hype on Ori?
I will say that when we did on Out of Mana earlier this week, Dante, this was one of his top 5 games of the year. I'm not going to tell you where he put it. That was my guess for the episode. So he's a big fan of this game, and he plays a lot of games. So I think you should take that with a high value. And I don't know. I'd like to play this game someday. When I have my Series X, like 3 years from now, I will play this game.
With your 7-year-old kids.
With my oh god, that would mean I've had them around for 4 years already.
Jessica, anything on Ori?
I've never heard of this game, so this was actually new for me.
You've never heard of it?
No.
Oh.
You've definitely sat beside us during an Xbox conference where they've shown this off, but it's always forgettable. It's always just like a bird like flies up and then they show a bunch of beautiful stuff and it's like Ori, and then something's happening, in my opinion.
So that's basically what happened in this video as well.
Yep.
It was beautiful and it looked fun. Not sure really any details about it. Is it multiplayer? Is it
No.
2-player, isn't it? Oh, it's not.
I don't think so.
It's not 2-player? I don't want to Google. My internet's not working with me, so.
Not good for your kids, Taylor.
Not good for your kids. There are owls in the game, though.
I would hope.
It definitely
Well, you
looks
said
like
birds.
It is a single player game.
an owl is
It's
a
like a
bird.
platformer Metroidvania style game.
Yeah, it looks like something that you could maybe just put on to chip away at if you've got, half an hour to kill. It's not something super intensive like Ghosts. Either one of the Ghosts.
Hey, that
game's
game's as well. You can chip away half an hour at a time. I've been doing it nonstop.
Yeah, see, that's nonstop is not half an hour.
I know, but half an hour, then I go,
Another
grab a
half an
sandwich, and then
hour.
I come back for half an hour, and then I sit down for a podcast, then I play for half an hour, and I go to sleep. That whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think it looks beautiful. If it's on Game Pass for my Xbox
It
that I
is.
already own.
It is. Every single game that they showed during this conference is all on Games Pass.
That was the joke, Taylor.
Oh, well, fuck me, right?
All right. I have nothing to. Dylan, Outer
What's up?
Worlds DLC dropping September, was it 6th or 9th?
9th, I believe.
9th. There you go. So DLC dropping. You pretty excited about this?
I am. Yeah, I kind of already spoiled my thoughts for this in the opening, but yeah, my biggest complaint with the game was that it is way too short. Other than that, I loved pretty much all of it. Like, there's some other shortcomings, of course. I think all of the shortcomings I have with the game are things that will be solved in whatever their next game is. Actually, I guess we already know what their next game is, because they have kind of more support now, more funding, and probably a bigger team. So I don't know. I'm pretty excited for this DLC. I was kind of curious when it was coming out. I think this kind of makes sense. September 9th. The game came out in October, so that's pretty much a whole year, actually. That's kind of crazy. I almost would have expected it to come out sooner than that. But yeah, I will absolutely be playing this on release date. I'm excited for it.
Nice. Yeah, I hope to maybe play it at some point here and try and get more into it. But Taylor, you have anything you
Pretty
jump
short.
back in Outer Worlds?
I would like to. On that note of the DLC release date, Dylan, I'm actually with you in being surprised because DLC is usually like within a span of like 3-4 months after the base game comes out. So like a full year, almost a year, like 11 months is actually truly shocking. That's usually when they drop details. Like a sequel is like rumored to be coming out like the following year, something like that. So
It's true, but also keep in mind that they also have Grounded cooking. They also have this other game that they just announced. Avowed is the name. I keep
Avowed,
forgetting
yeah.
what the name is. It's a strange name, but they have that cooking. I mean, COVID also affects things. So I mean, I guess it makes sense, but also maybe it's just like massive DLC. Who knows?
do you think COVID, like I know it affects with like developing like films and like obviously like the production and stuff, but do you think that has like a huge effect on like the creation of these DLCs, or is I figure it's like work
I think
from
it totally
home.
depends on the studio. It depends on what kind of like work environment you have in your studio. For some, it's probably really difficult to work from home and not have that face-to-face connection where you can have your meetings in person, or you can have a manager walking around the floor, checking out what everyone's doing, making sure people are doing stuff and things are going well. Yeah, as Travis said, with that
It's funny.
Motivating them rockstar style.
motivating them. Yeah,
It's funny because you think that like if Obsidian had the resources of Microsoft, like they would. Well, they don't have the resources of Microsoft,
what,
but
they'd
they
fight
put.
COVID. They're
Well,
immune
no,
to
like
it.
it. Yeah.
Glory holes in every room.
No, I just think it's funny. Like Obsidian doesn't have like the same resources as Microsoft, but they're putting out like great quality visual games. Then you have like Microsoft with the resources of Microsoft, and they got Halo. So
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's a strange shot for you to take there.
Yeah.
Really bizarre.
You hate to see
I
it.
don't think Outer Worlds is like the most beautiful game. I think it's pretty good. I think the art style in some places is amazing, but I don't think the fidelity is like next level. So it was a strange comment, but I respect it nonetheless.
Next was Grounded. This was
there, good segue.
okay. Next, just going in order, my friend. Just going in order. Grounded coming out July 28th. Obviously, Dylan Taylor did a stream for this a little bit back, so you can go back and check that on our Twitch page. But this was a really fun trailer because just even them starting off with like, "Are you ready for the biggest game of the year?" Well, that's Cyberpunk, so that's not us. But you could play the smallest game of the year, and it was just such good, like kind of cheeky, tongue-in-cheek, fourth wall breaking humor. I really appreciated the trailer. Obviously, I think this is just Game Pass and Xbox PC, so I won't be playing it, but it looked like lots of fun. I love everything. Just like, this is a game that we've never really made before, but we think it's going to be quite good.
From Obsidian, makers of games that are nothing like this.
Yeah, I thought the trailer was phenomenal. That got me this, and there's I think maybe one other game that was a high point for me, but this was probably my highest point in the conference, like just laughing, really enjoying it. And yeah, it looked really cool, and I'll be excited. I'm not sure if you guys are streaming that in the future again, but I'll be excited to watch more of that when the full game is unlocked.
Yeah, I think this was it's a game that they've just been showing at like pretty much all of their events, just another piece of it. They had that kind of demo a few weeks ago that me and Taylor both played. It was a pretty short demo. Like you can only play for half an hour. You can only do like one quest essentially, and then it kind of kicks you out of it. But we did it a couple times, and it is a really fun game, and I'm excited to hop back into it. And yeah, I just love the humor of Obsidian as a studio. I think that's why one of the reasons I like Outer Worlds so much. One of the reasons why I'm excited for Avowed and everything else they're doing. And I think it fits really well with Grounded because it is a weird, kind of quirky, strange game, especially from a studio that makes like these big open world RPGs. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to hop into this game when it comes out, I guess next week. So me and Taylor are gonna be playing more of that. We'll try and do some streaming of it. The game ran really poorly for me, and that's not the game's fault. It's 100% my computer's fault. That's why I want to get a Series X at some point. My computer struggles to play these games sometimes. So I don't know. Maybe if Taylor can stream it, then maybe we'll do another stream of it. But I don't know if my computer can handle such a thing.
Taylor, can you stream it?
Is that what you guys were both playing on? Was both on PC?
I don't have Xbox,
it was on Steam. The beta was on Steam, but when the base game comes out, it is crossplay between console and PC. But I'll play it on my PC and I can stream it on here. So
sweet.
See, crossplay. I know you don't have an Xbox.
There you go.
Okay, Taylor, you excited to? Obviously, you're playing more of this game next week. But what were your thoughts on this trailer?
It got me pumped. Like a lot of obviously there's a lot more that we didn't get to explore in the trial demo, but a lot of what we saw in the trailer again is just kind of like emphasizing and reiterating a lot of that we got to kind of like dabble in when we played the demo. It was funny because when we played that, we weren't able to actually join each other's games. We had to like just talk to each other in our own separate games.
Yeah, it was just a single player demo.
Yeah. But
That'll be
overall,
fun,
like the trailer, just it was awesome. I love that humor, like you're talking about, how it just kind of starts you off and just gets you pumped, and just everything from my experience with it was just I love the visuals. I thought the aesthetic was beautiful. I love just the idea of like, okay, like I'm gonna get all this grass stalks and like what can I do with it? Like what can I build, and like discover like new kind of like creations and I guess like templates to build different armor variants and weapons and stuff. Like it's a whole like deep dive into like exploration of what you can do, and I can't wait to actually see other quests, because the quests that they had you do in the demo, it was very fun. It was short but very, very enjoyable.
It was a really cool quest, actually.
Yeah, and the objects too you find, like seeing what was it? It was a frog, right, in the trailer, that frog looking thing, and isn't he like an icon from another franchise, I feel like?
Are you getting a mix of a Fable later on?
No, there was a frog ornament in the lawn that the characters were running around, and I feel like that was a shout out to another franchise, another series, because it looked like am I thinking like Battletoads or something like that?
It might have been.
Oh,
Yeah,
it is Battletoads. Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I thought that was cool. Like, like when we were playing it too, wasn't there like well, it wasn't like a Game Boy or whatever in the demo, Dylan, was it? It was some other thing. But there were like cans and other cool things that you find.
Yeah, there's almost like that, kind of how Outer Worlds had like that whole humor with like the propaganda and like these corporations and stuff like that. They had their own brands for soda cans and candy and stuff like that in the game.
Jessica, any interest in this game?
Yeah, you gonna play this with us, Jessica?
You guys, I was not interested after the trailer, but you guys are kind of selling me on it, I'll be honest.
Oh, yeah.
I did enjoy some of the jokes in the trailer, but I didn't, like Taylor was saying, he thought it was beautiful and this and that. I didn't really find that so much, but yeah,
I think it's more cute. It's a cute game.
I mean, there's giant spiders, so sure.
Do you have arachnophobia?
I do not.
You can actually change the arachnophobia setting when you boot up the game. It's actually kind of cool.
True.
And what?
That is funny.
To make them not spiders?
We didn't really test out what happens. Or did you test that out, Dylan?
No, I mean, I like spiders, so I wanted the mode on, but I feel like maybe it just shrinks them down. It might maybe just makes them smaller or something. They're pretty savage. They destroy you in like one hit, from my experience.
Ooh.
Well, if you can cross play, I mean, I do not have a computer that's good enough to run it, but I do have an Xbox, so.
Let's do it.
There you go. You know what else I'm sure a lot of you will be doing is this new Obsidian game coming at some point, just kind of announced. It's just a little teaser and the title card, Avowed. That's what I'm calling it, Avowed.
Oh, yikes.
Avowed.
I really don't like the title. I mean,
No.
I'm just gonna forget it is the thing, which you don't want from like one of your most anticipated games. It's like, oh shit, what's the name of that game that I'm really excited about again?
Yeah, I agree. You don't want that. It's just like it's one of those games that everyone's going to forget. Everyone's going to be like, how do you pronounce it? If you see it on the bookshelf or a shelf with a parent looking at like, what is this game? Like, I don't even know the name of it. My son was talking about it.
I keep wanting to say Disavowed. Like that just sounds better in my head. But
yeah. I watched it on my phone. I didn't see the V originally, so I thought it was just like a Wowed or something, or a Wood. So I was just like, that's same thing, still strange title. But I like this. I feel like, doing some of those earlier, it's their fantasy and whatnot. I feel like it's their version of Elder Scrolls in a way of like came from over there. They didn't ever do an Elder Scroll game, right? Obsidian?
Just Fallout New Vegas.
So they only did that, but they're around to hear some whisperings, and maybe they always thought like, oh, we should get a crack at that, and then Bethesda's like, no, you're not going to crack at that. So maybe this is their time for it. I liked what I saw. I would probably definitely not be playing this game because it's in first person. I can like first person games. First person games, I do not like really at all. I can't name you one. Is ones where I'm using handheld weapons. I remember a few years ago when the Avengers came out, it was like showing Iron Man and like the hammers. Like, this looks awful. I don't like that. The charms could be fun, but the sword, that's just not. I don't like that type of game style. So for me, already first person, it depends on the game. Some ones like a Doom, I really love. Outer Worlds for me, I was like, I didn't really get too much into it. I want to play more because I only put about 5 hours. So I'm hoping Cyberpunk I like, but this sword gameplay in first person didn't do it for me. But it looked cool, and I think it'll be a good game. And I like that's a bit more serious than maybe there are other ones that we saw. So yeah, I'll excited to hear your guys' thoughts on it with whoever plays it. Which I know Dylan, you'll be playing it. So what do you think about this?
Yeah, I'm very very excited for this game. Yeah, it's definitely like Elder Scrolls vibes, also like Lord of the Rings vibes, just like those arrows fired deep into that cave, and it almost looks like the Balrog is gonna pop out from behind the corner. Like definitely full Lord of the Rings vibes. Yeah, I'm super excited for this because one, I mean, I love Elder Scrolls, and I think this is like kind of what I've always wanted. I've always wanted Obsidian. They did Fallout New Vegas, which is my favorite Fallout game, so I always wanted them to do an Elder Scrolls game and see what they do with it, because they're all about writing different stories, side quests, factions that are meaningful. Your character stats are really important in many different ways. So I think this is just like everything I want. It's like this is going to be like, I'm excited for Elder Scrolls 6, of course, but those games are gradually getting further away from what I love about Morrowind and Oblivion so much. So I think Avowed is going to sneak right back in there with all those things that Bethesda's leaving behind. They're just going to scoop them all up and put them into their open world high fantasy RPG game. So, I mean, this is pretty much just a like. It almost made it look like a little bit like gameplay, but really is just a cinematic trailer. The magic looked cool. I guess that's really the only thing I can comment on gameplay wise. It almost looked like Arc Vitalix is this older game from Arcane Studios, where you almost like Harry Potter spells, like you draw the spell like with your mouse, and then that's like you summon it. And so it kind of looked like that. I don't know if that was just an animation or if that's something you'd do, like you'd flick the stick around to like make these spells in different ways or something. But it looked really cool, and I am super excited. Of course, it's a new IP, so we don't really have anything to go on here. It seemed like there was a voiceover kind of explaining a bit about the world, and it seemed very classic high fantasy. It didn't seem like anything was too weird was going on so far. But yeah, this one is high on my radar. I mean, I'm not expecting it until at least 2022, if not later. So I'm not getting my hopes up too much for an early release here. But for me, this is a game that for me, Series X, I want to get at some point for a couple reasons. One of them is that I want to get rid of my 360. That thing is hurting. It's going to die at some point. And I have tons of games, so backwards compatibility is great there.
Mm-hmm.
But this would be the game that I would finally get the Series X, pick it up to play this one. That's kind of how I feel. That, or maybe Fable, depending on when I see more about that game. Those would kind of be the two console sellers for me at this point. So whichever one comes first. I know we haven't seen anything on this game, but that's how confident I am in what Obsidian is doing, that I feel pretty good about making that statement now, nice and early. But who knows? You can clip me on that, and maybe I'll regret it years from now.
You think Bethesda's threatened?
No, I think they're still in their echelon of their own. I think at least Elder Scrolls is in the echelon of its own. I think maybe Fallout people might be a bit weary about, but I think they're still pretty solid on Elder Scrolls. I don't think they're too worried about Obsidian.
Yeah, I think you'd have to see if like Elder Scrolls somehow went poorly, and then what's the space engine or what space game again coming out?
Starfield.
Yeah, like I think they had some blows, but I think they're still definitely higher than Obsidian, but things can change.
Yeah.
Jessica sorry, go ahead, Dan.
I was just gonna say, like, this gaming industry is so massive at this point that's just because there's another first person open world RPG high fantasy game, like even though you can zoom in that much on what the game is, like there's still room. Those games could release like 2 months after each other, and they would both. Well, I don't know about how Avowed would sell, but Elder Scrolls would still sell crazy amounts.
Yeah.
So I don't think.
Well, look at how many times they remade Skyrim, and it continued to sell every single time.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Word is we're getting one.
We'll probably have a Series X enhanced edition for Skyrim.
There is rumors that, and a PS5 version. There's legit rumors about it. So
it's gonna happen. It'll happen.
And people will buy it.
Jessica, what were your thoughts on this game, or just what we saw visually? I guess.
I am super stoked on it.
Mm-hmm.
I like as soon as like the sword lit up and then the magic in his hand, I was just like, this is gonna be legit. So I mean, and people are already like the name of the sword has already been translated. It's Oathbringer. So yeah, people have already been working on it. So I will say though, kind of going back to that name, when I was typing out the list of games and I tried to type Avowed, it autocorrected to Avoid. So
Not a good sign for their future.
no.
I'm looking for that game Avoid.
Yeah. Marketing didn't think of that one, unfortunately.
Oh no, how could you do this, Obsidian? That's a huge flub. Oh no.
So yeah, and you
That's
know,
funny.
you kind of get to see, like, obviously you do have that Skyrim vibe, but the arrow does fly through like a skeleton being,
And he
instead
like
of-
explodes in purple or something. Yeah.
yeah, so it's not just gonna be, you know, it'll have some mystical elements too, obviously with the magic, but I'm excited to see more about it for sure.
Taylor, also you like skeletons because Pirates of the Caribbean 1. So you excited for this game? That's the vibe I got when I saw the pirates. I just thought Barbossa and the whole crew.
Well, usually when I think of skeletons, I think of Ghost Rider, but that works
Okay.
too.
Fair enough.
Yeah, this game I legit half expected to see like Frodo walking across the bridge and like Gandalf falling down below or something when those arrows flew into the
Why,
cave.
you fool.
So it just yeah, I as much as like a Lord of the Rings game would have been cool, like I'll take this 100% any day of the week, because like for me, like Elder Scrolls is my jam. I love it. It's so good. And I love just the fantasy first person aesthetic and gameplay. It's just, it does everything right in my life. And everything right. Yeah. And so to see this, like to time me over until I get Elder Scrolls 6 in like 20, 30 years, I think that this is going to be perfect. So I think that just the magic that he pulled out, it was like, wow, we got some Doctor Strange effects going on
that's what I
here,
thought, yeah.
and like the sword, and I'm all about rocking like the magic and the sword stuff. So they were like pulling the cheap ploy to get my money. So well, actually, it's Game Pass. Oh, $80 saved. So I'm down.
All right. Sorry, audio listeners.
Just a question, I guess, to Dylan, because you seem to be the Obsidian one. Did you play, what is it, Pillars of Eternity?
No, I haven't. That is, so I guess Obsidian is like, I think 2 studios, and so I guess this is kind of the other team. I'm not sure like how much what kind of management there is that would like kind of is overwatching both studios in terms of like creative vision and stuff like that. So I haven't played those games. More into like their, I guess, first person RPGs, but that game has some pretty good I don't know, it has its following. People like it. It's a good game.
Apparently the language on the sword is the language from Pillars of Eternity, so people are speculating that they are related.
That's cool.
So
Cinematic Universe. Next was As Dusk Falls. I don't know exactly what this was. It looked intriguing. I like some of the art style, but I don't think I think this is kind of like Don't Tell Me or whatever it is. Tell Me Why. I think it's
like
kind of
a visual novel narrative.
Yeah.
Game.
Yeah, nothing that would get me to buy the console, but could be a fun thing, a fun playthrough on Games Pass if it gets enough talked about. Any thoughts on that?
I think this is just the perfect kind of thing for Game Pass. I think this is why Game Pass is such a great thing, because this is a game that might get overlooked, but because it's on there and everyone who's got their subscription, maybe this is like the big new game on, like April 2021. This is like the big this is the new game to check out from the Xbox studios. So I think from that perspective, I think it's cool. Like that's what I like about this conference in general. I feel like they showed there's like a bunch of different genres in here, a bunch of different styles of games. And this one's in there too. It's a small game. Would people normally go out and spend like, I don't know, $40 on this game, however much it'll be? Who knows? But on Game Pass, I'm sure a lot of people will check it out, and maybe a lot of people will fall in love with the story, and maybe we'll turn into a whole nother thing. Who knows? But I thought the art style was cool, but I don't know if I have much to say on it because we don't really know what it is yet.
Aren't these like those iPad games?
What does that mean?
Those visuals, like those visual story games you get on the iPad, where you like have to like get these 2 people to like fall in love or do these like side missions, and you like pick different options and stuff.
I don't really know what you're talking about. I feel like these kinds. I don't know what you're talking about. No, keep going.
You know what I'm talking about, right, Travis? You know those games.
No, not at all. Oh, I kind of do. Those like really weird app games that pop up. And
yeah.
Will you
Yeah,
get
you
mad
get-
at him for cheating, or will you join them?
Yeah, like those. Like
You
I
got
feel
some
like
weird targeted ads. You're always complaining about like porn stars and sex box following on Twitter.
that
You're
was my
watching a
old
lot of
Twitter account. No.
Okay, yeah,
It
you're
doesn't
watching a lot
happen.
of
It doesn't happen
risque
now.
stuff.
And that was because I didn't go on Twitter ever, and all of a sudden, all these like followers. Weird.
because it has an algorithm what you're searching up. I think you're looking at some weird things. Jessica, have you anything to add to As Dusk Dawns or whatever?
I did enjoy watching them in the studio, showing them actually like digitalizing real people. So I'll give them appreciation for their art, but unless there's some big internet blow up about how amazing it is, I probably won't download it.
Hellblade 2 is set in Iceland, and they just showed off that they're scouting places. Like everyone said on the internet, this game's far away. I never played the first one. It did intrigue me, so I may get around to it. This is a one that, because it was for every console, right? But they bought the studio. So is this going to be for every console again, or do you think they're going to limit it?
This will only be on Xbox.
Okay, so then, I don't really have much reason to catch up to Hellblade 1. So that'll be in the past. I've heard great things, but maybe on my deathbed when I'm retired, I'll get around to it. But I heard great things about the first game. Nothing much to add here. Like, Iceland's cool and all, but there wasn't. This just felt like we have to fill our get Hellblade because we purchased them, so make them say something. And like, it's really hype, but nothing in the near future. So
yeah, it's not a launch title, so they didn't have much to add here, I guess.
yeah. You guys got anything, or can I move on to Psychonauts 2 featuring Jack Black singing a song?
Jack Black?
I've never played Hellblade.
Me neither.
That
Iceland's pretty though.
Sounds like it was gonna be more, but yeah. So Psychonauts 2 that was previewed, and Jack only knows how to do one role. Black was back, and he's singing a song. And this is not my franchise. I don't have anything to add.
Why
here.
do you say he only knows how to do one role? I don't think he does.
That's what he does.
I don't know.
Travis
about
is
that.
jealous.
You got him. He's not even saying anything.
No. I threw. The audio listeners can go back. I threw it. So you guys got anything to say on this? And it's just been dead quiet. So anything on Psychonauts 2, or is this a pass?
Go ahead, Taylor. Go ahead.
My one friend for a split second thought this was a Kung Fu Panda game, which would have been actually pretty hype.
Whoa.
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't your mind go to like Brutal Legend before?
That's where my mind went. His mind went to Kung Fu Panda.
Was this one Ruben?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Psychonauts is a really cool game. Essentially, like each level, you're going into the mind of someone. Usually, these people are sick in some way, so you're in some like kind of weird, twisted level. I think it's a really unique idea for a game, and therefore you can make these levels kind of strange and nonsensical because they are these kind of made-up levels in people's heads. So. And I don't know if this is the case, but if one of the levels is going inside of Jack Black's head, then that has room to be the best game level of all time. I mean, they definitely missed the boat if they didn't do that. If they got him in there, didn't talk to him about it. Yeah, you're going like some musical world, so I'm guessing that's what's happening. Which case, count me in. I am there. I definitely want to try that out. It looks awesome. Jack Black is a great singer, and he was popping off in this trailer. So I'm excited for this. I think this is a great showing.
What type of sickness is like cold or like meth and sex addiction? Like what type of sickness is we talking about?
Like mental illness of some sort.
Oh, okay, I didn't know it was that serious. I thought it was just like really kiddie.
I think
making a mockery of this game, Travis.
But I think that's where the layers come into it, where it is like these more serious issues, but it is like in a comedic. It comes across in a comedic way. So,
Jessica, Psychonauts 2.
I didn't play the first one. This one didn't sell me enough to look into it. I did like that Jack Black was in it. I don't know if anything about the game, so I wasn't sure. I was like, is he a boss? Is he doing just the soundtrack? But I'm always down for Jack Black. I'm with the Dimas on the hype train for Jack Black. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't know. It's one of those ones. I'll play it with my kids in 7 years.
In 7 years, yeah. Stalker 2, I've never actually. I don't think I've heard of the first game. It looked cool. Looked like they just copied a bunch of landscapes from Last was Part 1 and Part 2, but that's fine. There's some cool, creepy stuff. There's a creepier game later that I preferred. This game, it honestly didn't really stick with me. Like I'm looking at screenshots right now. I remember seeing the trailer, but it didn't really stick with me. So I don't have much to say on Stalker 2, but I like the title, I guess.
It looks a bit like Metro is kind of the vibe I'm getting. I
Mm.
think I played the first. I think I like rented it from Blockbuster, so I played it like a bit. But
Really, Blockbuster. That's old then.
I don't know. Like that could be totally false, but that's just like
No, I think the first one came out a while ago.
it's like
I
a
think it has,
distant
like, a
memory in
cult
my
following.
mind.
I'm getting the deets right now.
2007 is when it first came out.
Yeah.
Um,
There's been a few. There's one 2009, 2008, Clear Sky Stalker, and then
Yeah.
Call of. Yeah, that's
So,
not the type of game I was thinking.
I'm
it
not
was.
confirming that that's what happened, but I do have a distant like memory of this game, but it's fleeting, so I don't know where it came from. But I don't know. I didn't vibe too much with this showing today, but I mean, once again, not gameplay. So
10
That's the
out of 10
thing.
rating on Steam, over 12,000 reviews. That's high praise.
that's
Oh.
better than the Geekverse. So
Yeah,
Give 'em-
Pod Bay. Taylor, you want to go do some stalking?
I feel like you. Well, I'm not gonna go there. No, I'm okay.
Okay. Jessica.
I had never heard of this game at all before. Apparently, yes, there is a whole bunch of them. The trailer gave me absolutely no information. I didn't really know what it was about at all, and even looking at images, I still don't really know what it's about. So,
shooter game like Metro. I think.
Is it zombies or?
I think it's more like Chernobyl. Like there's some radiation and I don't know.
Radiated zombies?
I think it's just like Metro. It's like another Metro, essentially.
And yet there's stalking involved.
Right.
Yeah,
That's correct.
At least two of them.
at least two.
Warhammer 40K Dark Tide coming out 2021. I have no experience with this franchise.
Yeah,
Dylan.
these next two are kind of blasé to me. I don't have anything to say on this. It's like a tabletop RPG, so I guess this is a video game, but once again, no gameplay. There was a few of those in this. Not enough gameplay in this conference overall.
Either and Jessica, anything you add on Warhammer or move on to Tetris Effect?
I'm excited for Warhammer. I'll be honest. I was into actually playing on the tabletop for a while. I built my army and everything. And I actually, when I was watching the trailer, I remember thinking that it was cool. And then when I found out that it was for Warhammer, I was like, oh, that's pretty sick. So I'll probably actually keep my eye on that one. Apparently I'll be the only one, so I'll let you guys know how it is.
You can do a review for us.
Taylor, you not joining her?
I never got into like the tabletop of Warhammer, and I always thought like, okay, there's tons of books, and I feel like there's a lot of other Warhammer games, and I never got into it. But watching this trailer, for some reason, to me, I got like Dead Space vibes when it started, and yeah, it felt like this is just like a cool like horror-esque kind of like game, just like guns a-blazing, and to me it felt like, okay, I could definitely probably get on board with this. I did not expect it to be a Warhammer game, not that I know much about like the Warhammer franchise altogether, but it looks pretty good. It looks like it'd be a good time, and I'm very interested.
Tetris Effect had a nice kind of fun stylized trailer as far as a bunch of people playing a game, and then it was like had some cool music, and then it showed everyone kind of forming these pieces, and they started playing Tetris coming to Xbox. Thought it was a fun little showing there, coming holiday 2020.
Yeah, I guess this is the first time it's coming to Xbox, or maybe it's just the Series X version. I'm not too sure, but you know, Switch has the Tetris 99, so this is their version. Looks pretty fun. Yeah, good party game.
Yep.
I totally thought of Uno Rush when I saw it. I was like, this is going to be the new Uno Rush.
You know, I just thought about when I get my Xbox Series X, I have Uno Rush chilling on my account somewhere. It's lost in the cosmos because I don't have gold anymore. But I'll have to re-download that and see if there's a lot of people playing online. Get back to the #1 rank.
It's probably like Sea of Thieves. It's only gotten better. There's more people now than before.
20,000 concurrent players every day.
Anything to add on retro or oh, he's back. Anything to add on Tetris?
Tetris. I definitely don't mind a good game of Tetris. You get that like what is it, the Russian theme or something in there? What's that song called?
Excuse me?
The theme song. It's like what is it? It's like do 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 do.
Why is that the Russian theme?
Because it was done by like a Russian composer, I believe. Was it not?
Dude, what are you talking about?
Never mind.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Jessica knows. Jessica's on point tonight. She's getting all the stuff.
The only reason I know it though is because it's on Just Dance.
Which Just Dance is it on?
Oh no.
I think it's 2018.
Oh, what do I have? I got 2017. I gotta upgrade that.
You can borrow mine.
You can upgrade it. You can get one for your Wii. You know, they're still.
Oh yeah, they're still making them. Is that what you have it for, Jessica? I don't have a Wii anymore.
No, I got it for Xbox. You got to play on Kinect, especially the Tetris one.
The Connect. There's some I haven't
Connect.
heard about in a while. Yeah, that's a callback. That really worked out for them.
Hey, I bought the adapter so I can play with my Scorpio. So you know what?
Dongle?
The dongle, yes.
Yeah.
Gotta get the teraflops.
Yeah, good for you. You bought that. Are you gonna be buying the Gunk, Jessica?
No.
Okay. I thought it was a fun little cool game. It looked kind of weird. Shooting gunk at people's little. I don't know. It's something.
I don't think you're shooting gunk at people, aren't you?
You're
like
sucking
absorbing
gunk.
You're sucking the gunk to shoot the gunk. It's kind of like a Lego
That's
game.
what I
but with
thought.
gunk.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna be dispersing the gunk at some point.
You suck to shoot.
It
This
looks
is
more
a-
like sucking. It more like a Luigi. It's like the Luigi's Mansion of gunk.
This is just a
Like you're
dirty
sucking-
game.
I
They
thought it was
shouldn't have
more
done-
like.
Gunk.
Well, it's more like Mario Sunshine. You're sucking the water to spit on the gunk, right?
Oh boy. So yeah, it looked like that. A dark version of Mario Sunshine. This is something that could be fun. I'd have to hear some people talk about, but nothing that I'd be throwing a bunch of money down. I know Games Pass, but I'm talking about just by itself. But interesting. But again, I don't think there was any gameplay for this. If so, it was very sliced together quickly.
There was
think
a
there was a
little
little bit
bit, yeah.
Was there? Because it was just I felt like
they
there's a
showed
lot
a
of,
whole level. It was like 10 minutes long.
oh wow, I can't believe it.
Just kidding.
Fell asleep.
There was a person running around with their little vacuum, and then they'd start sucking, and then
They were gunking it out. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the apparatus
Suck the gunk.
to suck the gunk. That was like the fists that they had, right? Or like they had the thing on their hands, right? I'm being
Yeah,
serious.
They're like. I remember the side shot. He was just like.
Pod racing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that happened, and they just went the gunk. It's like, what's going on here? Sony got some Miles Morales, and we got some game called the fucking gunk. I don't know. It just like it looks like it looks like could be a fun game. It also could look like a game that would have came out in regular time and then dropped to $20 like in a month from now. You know, like when it releases. So,
What is regular time? What does that mean?
like before like streaming and things like that? Like before, like in our generation of like this game would cost $60 and it would drop very quickly because no one's buying a game called the gunk. They'll buy Avowed before they buy the gunk.
That's the
oh,
Ubisoft.
it would accidentally get put in the back section of Blockbuster.
So you mean it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the Battleborn of games?
It kind of is. I didn't want
Hey,
to throw that
don't bring
out
that up,
there
Jessica.
for Jessica.
That'll
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't want to throw that out there, but you just went for the heart. So, Jessica, yeah, you already said no to the gunk. Taylor, are you gonna get your gunk on?
If it's got multiplayer and you're just like sharing the gunk, like why not?
You're gonna gunk Madison? Gunk with Madison?
I'll gunk with Madison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or gunk with your 7-year-old children?
No,
In
no
7
gunk
years?
with the children. Yeah,
No.
you need the gunk shot. Dylan, what about you? You gonna be gunking up there in Vancouver?
I thought this is a great little trailer. I think I'm gonna be big pumpkin. This is from the team that made SteamWorld Dig, which was a pretty well received.
Their creative process
You made that
on
title
names.
up. You made that title up. That's not a real game.
I'm pretty sure that's what it's called.
SteamWorld Dig. What are you doing that? You dig, right?
Yeah, I think you. Let's see. There's multiple SteamWorld games, but one of them is called Dig. Okay, so there's SteamWorld is series, but Dig is one of them. Okay, that's the most recent
Big
one.
gunk. What's
It
gonna
came
be the
out
third one?
It came out on Stadia.
They got
in 2020.
Heist. They got Quest. They got Heist. Heist looks
What?
cool.
When they just take a word, it's just okay. Fair enough.
Hey, this time they added the in front of it at least.
Yeah,
There's
that's
a
true.
SteamWorld Dig 2 even. There's even a SteamWorld quest, Hand of Gilgamesh. So
Use those hands to get the gunk.
I don't know what I have. I don't know what else I have to say about this, but give me
Okay.
the gunk. Yeah.
Give you the gunk. And then after that, they showed off the Medium. This is the game that I was actually quite interested in.
Launch game.
Yeah, if you guys, this is the only one who was like, you know what, I feel like I could be missing out. I'd like to go to Taylor's place and try it out or play it because I like horror-ish type of games. And this was fun of showing like the duality of you had, it looked like, I don't know, a girl exploring a situation, but then you on the other side look like a girl that had the powers to unlock the situation. I don't know. And every shot looked like it was the same situation location, but it was a little bit different. So it had my interest. It could all like easily be a game that comes out and just like, oh, it's like nothing special. It's just some sort of running around creepy game like that. We see that all the time where it looks like there's lots of potential and nothing comes of it. But this is one along with Grounded that impressed me the most. And this is on my radar to at least keep my eyes on, and I'll force Taylor to play it at least. But yeah,
well, I definitely will. I just want to say this is actually done by the team that did Blair Witch.
Oh, okay, that explains it. Because I never played that because I was gonna attend that stream that never happened, but then my child was born, my second child. So shout outs to Logan. But I liked the trailer and everything. What do you guys think, Taylor? What do you start as far as you play Blair Witch? What do you think about this as far as I'm tackling this? Are you intrigued in this game?
I am very intrigued. I think that just the amount of like comprehending, like they got two like worlds unfolding simultaneously, and it like. I've never been like a big fan of like the movies for Blair Witch, but I think the game and just that horror-esque aspect that they implemented in that, and just like we've been going in circles, you know, like it, like Dylan, I know you played it, yeah. Dylan, I know you tried it, and just like the getting lost and just the whole like
I got lost, so I didn't play it after that. I was like, I don't know where to go, and I'm just scared. I don't want this.
The story that they did with that game was it was unique and kind of just like it was unique. That's all I can really say for it, in a good way. And I feel like this just looks like they've got like a lot of steam, they got a lot of traction, and they're taking off, and they're doing a really crazy idea that I've never seen in a game before with this duality. And I'm really, really excited to see what it's going to happen, because it looks like there was a little bit of like hunting vibes, like some like creepy like entity that's like tracking this person down, has this dark voice. So I feel like this is one that I'm going to be like, 7 o'clock rolls around, I'm gonna flick the lights off, turn the curtains back, and just like play.
Get your gunk on.
Yeah, get the gunk on.
Yeah. Dylan, you play a little bit of Blair Witch. What do you think about this?
Yeah, this game, yeah, I agree. This one really grabbed me by surprise. That's a weird way to say that. I know there's a couple articles that popped up about this game earlier this week, actually. So I remember hearing about it, and I was like, wow, that game sounds interesting, but I can't really picture how it'll look. So it's cool that we actually saw some gameplay in here as well. This is a launch title. I'm guessing this game's not going to be that long. That's just my prediction. Blair Witch wasn't that long. I'm not really basing it off that. I just kind of feel like maybe this is a shorter kind of game. I think this one's interesting because this, out of probably anything, even Halo in this conference, is showing off possibly what next gen is capable of in terms of loading two completely separate environments simultaneously. Possibly, I'm not saying this game is impossible to have been made on like a Xbox One or a PS5 or whatever, because obviously you can play this on your Xbox One, but it seems like it's going for something pretty ambitious, and that gets me pretty excited to bring in my daily dose of talking about Dishonored. Dishonored 2, my favorite level in that game is this one where you have this old device and you're switching between the future and I guess what would be the present, and like whatever you do in the present in real time affects what happens in the future. Really, really cool level. The best level of all time, in my opinion. It's really, really amazing. And this game seems like that, but it's like a whole game based around that mechanic. Slightly different because rather than switching, you just have them concurrently playing next to each other. It looks like, I don't think it's co-op. Like, I think you're controlling both of them at the same time is the vibe I'm getting here. I think this is a really cool game. I think the title might be forgettable, and that might be a problem.
Yeah.
For the game. People are just, because this is like just every game has a medium difficulty, so I feel like this might just get lost in the shuffle a bit. But this is a launch title, they said, and I think that's great that this is something a bit different for launch. Even if it is a shorter game, then I think that's fine. You know, it's on Game Pass. Everyone can try it out and say, "Oh man, check out this! Everyone's got to play this. Check out this great game." So I think it's fun. I think this is another good mix up of the formula. Again, kind of like with Psychonauts or with Dusk Falls, like just another different type of game in this conference. I keep calling it a conference showcase.
Jessica?
So this was definitely my top game out of this whole conference. I am super excited about it. And so I believe this one is it's Xbox X, not current gen.
No, it's current as well. Xbox One coming too. Yeah.
Well, okay.
Every game in here is coming to Xbox One.
As well. Okay.
Well, not every game, I should say, but everything that's coming out in the next year or two.
So
even Halo Infinite.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't buy an Xbox X for that anyway. So
Ooh.
back to the game at hand. So for me, I didn't find it that confusing because what I gathered from it, a medium is technically the connection between, like when you use a Ouija board, you use a medium to connect to the spirit world. So they're the connection between this world and the next. And so that's what this game is doing as well, is you're playing in both this world and obviously either the afterlife or the spirit world, because she's talking about about solving murders or like learning the two sides of the story. Anyway, I went to their website because I was interested, and basically it says discover a mystery only a medium can solve, explore the real world and the spirit world at the same time, use your psychic abilities to solve puzzles spanning both worlds, uncover deeply disturbing secrets, and survive encounters with the Maw. The Medium is a third-person psychological horror game that features patented dual reality gameplay. So it
patented. They
apparently
patented this.
Yeah,
So-
good thing.
So it kind of seems like, you'll be able to, with a switch of a button, go between one world and the next, no matter where you are, from what I'm gathering from it. And you'll have to be able to do that to solve different puzzles. And because you have like the arm was glowing in like the spirit world.
Yeah.
So
I guess a question then. So in this showcase, they showed a few shots of like the game side by side, like the past and present. So I was kind of under the impression that you'd play both of them at the exact same time, but do you think it is more like switching between them and you just have one active at a time? And they just showed that for the sake of here's what the game will be like, even though it doesn't actually play like this?
So I think it was more like, so there's the one scene where she's like walking along the wall and they showed it in the dark. So I think you could play that same scene in either one world or the other. I don't think they're playing side by side.
Okay.
Maybe there's certain times in the game you could do that, like a very important mission or something like a near endpoint. You got to switch back and forth very quickly. But
Yeah, I feel like it has to be both at the same time, or else I don't know what they're patenting on this game.
So, I mean, yeah, like here, like I'm on their site and like there's a screenshot and it's just a single world. There's no dual world in it. So, yeah, there's a bunch of screenshots. So I think it's just supposed to be that you can switch between the two, and they have different effects and different visuals and different ways you can interact with the world.
Nice.
Is what I've gathered anyway.
yeah, I got something pretty telling right there too.
That's
very
really
blurry.
clear. I
I
can
know.
totally make out what it is.
There we go.
There we go.
Yo.
Of course.
Taylor, what did you? No, I already threw to you, so we're good. Anything else to add on Medium? Obviously, this game all interested us, so that's a good thing. It's a good thing. PSO2 is coming out. This is honestly nothing that's been on my radar at all, whether it's the first one. It just looks like the type of game I'm not really into. It kind of has that anime type of style. It has that really loud, obnoxious music that all the rest of the conference was fine or showcase was fine. And then when this trailer came on, it's like, no, and it was almost as loud as the show Xbox like showcase hosts. It's coming 2021. But yeah, does nothing for me.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say on this one or Crossfire coming up next.
Yeah, me either. Anything on Crossfire or PSO2? You two?
I got Zip.
Nope.
And then lastly was Fable. The confirmed this has been rumored for a while. It was kind of leaked a little bit. I want to recommend Xbox when you're about to put out a game, don't make a Twitter account for it and have one of your COOs be the only person following the account, because that shit kind of just gets on the internet. But so I think that's why it wasn't as hype, but I liked it. It was pretty funny. I liked the big toad and whatnot. But again, I wish we had I wish we had got to see more, because I wanted that kind of God of War moment of, like they said, oh, this is going to be all new Fable for a new generation. That's really cool. I just want to see that instead of being told that and having one cutscene. So I like that they're making it. I just wish there was more. So I couldn't get that excited for it really. And maybe because again, it had leaked, so we'd kind of know. But even in general, just didn't have me backflipping.
Mm-hmm. So as I don't know these other two if they've played Fable, but I am a big fan of at least the first game. I've played some of the second one. I don't think I ever played the third, so you might be wondering why I'm so stoked for this one if I haven't even caught up on the series. But that first game has a really special place in my heart, and I love it. It's one of my favorite games ever. And it's interesting, right? This is so different because this is kind of like almost looks more like a reboot than a true sequel.
Yeah.
And because obviously Lionhead Studios, the creators of all the Fable games, is no longer around. They closed a couple years ago. It's happened during the time we've been doing this podcast. I remember I was talking about that. So this is interesting because now this one's being made by Playground Games, who are the team that makes Forza Horizon. I guess like the second Forza game, like there's like the motorsport and then there's Horizon, I guess. So that's maybe concerning that like it's a team that makes a racing game, but I think there is some good signs because I was looking into this a bit more. One thing that I think is incredibly important is that Playground Games is a British studio. I think that's one of the things that's really important for Fable is that it has like this really weird British humor with these characters just like yelling at each other with their funny accents, and it's just such a weird and goofy game. And I think that's why that moment with the frog just like eating that fairy is so perfect and telling for what Fable is as this high fantasy game that just doesn't take itself very seriously. I think that's so important. The humor is really crucial there. So I think it's good that a British studio is making this game. I kind of was thinking, man, if Obsidian was the one to take on Fable, like this a few months ago, I was thinking about this. That would be a dream, kind of a dream come true. But thinking about it more, I really think it is important to keep that with the British studio. So I'm glad that they did that. I was looking into it a bit more, and they have hired like a ton of employees. Like they're over 400 employees now for this studio, which is huge. And then even then, like a couple of years ago, there was reports of them hiring devs from like GTA 5, Metal Gear Solid, Hellblade. So they've been acquiring people for this game outside of racing for years. That was in 2017 when some of those acquisitions happened or some of those employees got hired. So this game is, I'm kind of feeling good that it's pretty far along. I obviously didn't drop the 2021, so it's not that close, if anything. But maybe 2022, maybe it's a late 2021 game. They just don't want to put that date out there yet in case it gets pushed or something. But I think there's a lot of good signs leading into this, and I'm pretty excited for it. I thought it was cinematic, but I still thought it looked beautiful. And then last, I wanted to show up that Fable Anniversary, which is kind of like a remaster. HD remaster of the original game is 75% off on Steam right now. So good time to go pick that up if you have never played these games and might be curious to jump in the future. But yeah, I'm super stoked for this. I think it's been heavily rumored, as Travis alluded to, but I'm glad that it's finally out there and we know it actually exists and we know who's making it and all that stuff.
Taylor.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, I played a tiny bit of the first one, but I think I'm getting them confused, the second and the third one. I played a lot of one of those two, but it's been so long since I played a Fable game. Mm-hmm. They're definitely like magical, like quirky atmosphere, like stories that I do like that. It's definitely a different take for a fantasy game. I think that, this has been something that I think every time an E3 has rolled around, there's been like leaked fake images or like people talking about Fable this, Fable that, and like people just wanting it. So I think it's good that it's finally here. And I had a hunch that, okay, like Fable obviously was one of those things that it felt like it was definitely going to appear this year. And again, like they didn't show it during the show, but I thought to myself, well, they're going to probably end it on some kind of like do a little like magical trick or something and just pop one more game at the end. They're doing their closeouts and they're making everyone think, oh, no Fable, but then they hook you and they just drop a cinematic at the end. So I think the game has a lot of potential, and it's on Games Pass. I mean, all these games are on Games Pass, so it's just I can't fathom just how crazy it is. It's another $80 I saved with Fable right there, or $100. $100. Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Jessica, you're taking us home. What is your thoughts on Fable?
I am excited for it. I agree with Dylan. The original holds a special place in my heart. I remember playing it back on my like OG Xbox. One of the first games I got for it. I definitely I knew it was coming because of the Twitter account. So that is unfortunate, but I definitely didn't think that's what this trailer was going to be when it first started. And, it was definitely like, oh, like, I'm not going to lie. I was like, oh, why does this game look so good and Halo looks so bad? But it did surprise me. That wasn't what I was expecting, but I'm super excited to see more about it and see what direction that they do take it in. I am like Dylan. I played the first one, a bit of the second one, and I don't know that I ever really got into the third. So, yeah.
Sweet.
There we go. Well, we did it. We broke down everything. After that, they just said you'll hear more details in the future about other stuff. And so whenever something happens again, we'll cover it. Like the rumors say, something's happening in August that might be more hardware focused and whatnot. So I'm hoping with both this and Sony, we get some prices here soon and some official dates. Obviously, dates could be still up in the air because of COVID and whatnot. I know they're both saying holiday 2020, but I still wait to see because you never know. Things are changing on the daily, right? So, but if that stays, we'll get a date and a price eventually and maybe some news on Lockhart. So all our opinions are out there. Anything to say before we get out of here?
They also did reveal in the pre-show Hello Neighbor 2. I've never played it, but I think there's like a fan base for that game. So
jump into the pre-show at the very end. That bold strategy, Cotton. Listeners, tell us if it worked out. Well, as Taylor already dropped, he dropped the reviews at the beginning of this episode. Just go down to the description down below, whether you're on the video or audio feeds. Please subscribe, leave reviews, rate us. We really appreciate it. We thank you always for your support or for your support. We're trying to support ourselves, but we thank you very much. There's a cat if you watch the video, and that's where you go watch on YouTube and Twitch. So I am Tress now, and I promise when you hear from us next, there will be lots of gunk.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Look at that cat. Oh.
That is a big freaking cat. He's like the size of like 2 watermelons.
His name is Mo.